it's Alex here from Frog Lane Studio, where we provide free hacks, hints, tips and tricks to ease your hobby woes. If you're new here, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button, and if you want to check out any of the additional content we've got, links to which are just down below. In today's video, we're going to be checking out this custom Custodes model and why it's our most labor-intensive project to date. I'm going to be showing you all of the inside details in what exactly went into making this behemoth. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. Now, about 6 months ago, we were asked by a client to do a McFarlane Custodes model. This is something that's never been done within the Warhammer community, and it was a challenge that we took on with relish. That being said, though, we knew that there was going to be a hell of a lot of work going into this model. Now, with any project, where do you start? You start with the prep, and so we took a look at all of the Google images we could get our hands on to try and find out exactly what differentiates these Custodes from the Marines, and we broke it down into several parts. So starting off with the lower portion, the waist armor or the folds has these hip sections that are highly detailed, and the back armor has this nice little crease that runs through it along with the upper thighs. The lower portion, the shin guards, are joined to the kneecaps, and the toes themselves are pointed instead of round. All of these parts needed to be resculpted, so this is where we started off. The shin guards and kneecaps are identical on both sides, so rather than having to go through those from scratch and sculpt each one separately and try and get that symmetry right, it was easier just to cast these. So the blanks were made without any of the detail on there to get the right form, and then they were cast in UPVC resin. We made molds of these, and then from there, then the eagles and the adornments were then sculpted over the top of those with green stuff. Because we still wanted those legs to have a high level of mobility, I mean, it is an action figure after all, we needed those two pieces of hip armor to be magnetically attached, and so this is something else that had to be taken into consideration. This whole process just for the lower portion took about 3 weeks, and once all those pieces were assembled, it gives the final results that you can see here. Now, once the leg armor was done, it was time to move on to the backpack. Now, the backpack itself is completely different from standard Primaris Marines. They have, as do the Firstborn, the normal backpack that you see, but the Custodes have these dainty little vents with then the Imperial Aquila that's behind it. This was then again something that we had to sculpt. Now, the vents were cast, same as with the shin guards and with the folds. Because we had two identical pieces and we wanted to keep the symmetry there, it was just easier to be able to cast these up to keep the symmetry. From there then, the Imperial Aquila was sculpted around this, as were the lightning bolts, and the entire back part rebuilt. So once I had finished off the legs and the back, the model got posted over to myself. So both with the collar and the chest, those parts needed to be resculpted and built up. Now, when it comes to green stuffing, what you need to be doing is building up each of those parts individually, piece by piece, analysing the end result that you want to achieve and then breaking it down into component parts so that you're not leaving tacky thumbprints on a part of the model that you've already green stuffed. As you can see here, we started off with the chest and got the overall form for the chest, and then onto the lightning bolts, the detail work and the piping, building each part up bit by bit and attaching it the same as you would do with any other model, except each of the pieces we're making from scratch. So that being done, the only other addition that we can do with green stuff is on his forearms. Now the main body had been done. We'd done all of the hard green stuff work. This had taken about 6 weeks to do, and we were almost on to the final step. In steps our third hero of the day, Dale from Resin Customs. Dale is an amazingly talented 3D sculptor and printer, and I tasked him with making the helmet, the pauldron, the weapon and the banner that you see on there. Now, each one of these needed to be made from scratch because there are no Custodes McFarlane parts out there. And so what we did was to find 28mm Custodes STL files, was to blow those up in a 3D sculpting file and then create the sockets that they needed to attach onto the rest of the model. Each one of these needed to be changed in some way, shape or form, as once you go from 28mm up to these large 7-inch models, the detail that you have on there is either reduced or looks out of scale when it's put with the rest of the model. So there was a lot of tweaking involved in this before they could finally be printed. Now all those 3D parts were done, it went off to Mr. Tumnus to get its paint job and the tabard. Now that tabard is actually just chamois leather, or chamois leather if you're French. It's the same stuff that you use to wax your car with, but it works perfectly for these Custodes. It makes really nice, soft leather tabards that set the whole model off. So I would argue, although Mr. Tumnus wouldn't, that the painting of this Custodes is probably the easiest part. However, he had the pressure of bringing this whole piece together and bringing it to life through the medium of paint. And the end result of this blew each of our 4 tiny little minds apart. The fact that we'd managed to create this brand new McFarlane model, one that had never been seen before, one that we thought couldn't be achieved when we started this off. Now the whole project itself took about 100 hours worth of work from start to finish and was completed over about 2.5 months. Going from each person, with each of them doing their specific job to create this overall piece. So I'd like to dedicate this video to them. If you haven't already, go ahead over to Instagram. I'll leave the links just down below. You can follow their amazing work. And so that's almost all we have time for. You guys know the drill by now. If you want to like, subscribe, comment, that would be amazing. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon, that would be equally amazing. A massive thanks goes to all of my Patreons, without which these videos just wouldn't be possible. So thanks to my Patreons, thanks to you guys for watching. Stay safe, keep hobbying, and may your brushes always be pointed.